Hello and welcome back to the Social Jar podcast. Back after a couple of weeks break, as always, I'm your host Dan Wiseman and I'm joined by Ryan Long and Andreas Georgiou to pluck three topics from the Social Jar, the world of social media, that have taken our interest whilst we've been away. Guys, it's been a couple of weeks, missed you both. How are we?
I've been with you, mate.
Nah.
It's me who got ditched.
It's Ryan who's been left to
How's
his
it
own
been?
devices here
How's it been, mate?
at Uniform HQ.
Holding down the fort.
Holding down the fort. You've been a cameraman, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I made my debut as a cameraman. It's pretty cool. Thanks to our producer.
You're coming on in leaps and bounds, mate. There's no limit to what you can achieve.
You came in as a graphic designer. You're just gonna
Maybe we've been holding Ryan back, mate. This is it. We've finally gone, and he's just leveled up in by no means.
He's just continuously proving me wrong. You've got, your ceiling is immaculate.
So just to give a little bit of context, we've been away in Bulgaria with one of our clients, IMAF, covering their Youth World Championships. We had a good time. I enjoyed it. We did some good work.
Yeah, it was good to be back on the circuit for our clients. IMAF, their first event since March 2020, actually.
Crazy.
So it's been a long time for them as well. So we were on site to create social media content for a variety of different platforms, and yeah, it went really, really well. It was good to be back. Well, I guess we're back on the full scale circuit now as well. Like every month, probably me or you will be covering an event for one of our clients.
Going on holiday.
Yeah, I wish. I didn't leave the hotel for 7 days. So, yeah, you could call it a holiday. But it was good. But yeah, even better is the fact that Social Jar is back.
100%. Episode 5. This is our Empire Strikes Back, which is obviously the best Star Wars. So this is obviously going to be the best Social Jar so far. We've got 3 absolutely wicked topics to break down with you guys this week. We're going to kick off with something which you actually teased on Twitter last week, getting us ready to get back into the jar, and that is TikTok stories. I can't believe we're here again on the podcast discussing stories. Feels like this is it's like Groundhog Day at the moment, guys, but this is something new, and for the first time I think I'm actually going to back it. I think this is a good move. I'm excited. So I'll give you some details on TikTok stories. So it's estimated at the moment that about 91% of TikTok users, which is an absolutely huge amount, obviously, don't post regular content. So they're just going on TikTok, engaging with the feed. And I have to say, I'm one of those people. I'll openly admit it.
Yeah.
So TikTok want to get people contributing, getting involved with the platform and getting involved with different creators. And so they've introduced stories as we know and love it, these 24-hour posts that disappear into the void, never to be seen again, just to give people a little bit more, I suppose, comfort when they're posting, to show, like, just to know that it's not going to stick around forever. They can just post these sort of temporary posts. They're going to be a bit more engaging than we've seen on other platforms. So it's going to appear as a vertical, it's in a testing phase at the moment. It's going to appear as a vertical sidebar to the left of your feed with the usual sort of blue circles around a person's profile picture to let you know that they've uploaded. But what's interesting is when you comment or reply to a story, those will go public and you can see comments that have been posted by mutual friends. So there's going to be a little bit more room for engagement than we've seen with other stories. So there is a slight bit of innovation. Guys, that's the lowdown on what we know so far. It is only in that beta phase. How do we feel about them?
I feel like it could fit in, but whether I'll use it, I don't know.
It's a good
I
point.
feel like I thought that's what TikTok was, really, just stories, but it stays on your page, doesn't it? On your feed.
They stick around. And so it is that sort of new temporary addition which they're trying to add. I think it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that the comments are public because obviously we all know a story is a private message. You reply to someone else's. Someone posts a story and then if someone replies to it, it's private. So it's very interesting that they're going to open that up and friendship groups can see comments as you rightly said. There's a bit of innovation there. Is it going to work? I mean, look at Fleets. I mean, Fleets obviously had an uphill struggle from day one. I don't think Fleets was ever going to succeed. TikTok Stories has a probably higher percentage that it may do, but I don't know about you guys. Like, as we said, like if you generally don't post content on TikTok anyway, how is that going to make you want to post TikTok? Because it's going to disappear after 24 hours. So like,
It just takes away some of that pressure of maybe making something you've got to stick with. For those of us that don't want to put time into it, and it's getting
And then
people creating more.
well, that's not TikTok. That's just a
Insta.
That's Snapchat, really.
Yeah, I think that word that you said there, Ryan, time, it's like you see a lot of TikTok now that have like really high production value. Like people spend a lot of time on making TikTok, which is ultimately quite a short piece of content, can only be up to 3 minutes long. And so I feel like with stories, people may feel that they don't have to be an expert on TikTok to be able to post them. So I feel like that's maybe something that's holding some people back, is that they don't feel they've got the nous to be able to produce a TikTok which is of the same standard as other people's.
I do think that the actual requirements to produce a TikTok, like we're not talking like Hollywood film. We're talking like do a video, pick a sound, and then do something alongside that, whether it's a dance or a skit. And then add some captions. Like it is pretty straightforward.
No,
so
agreed.
like, how
Agreed.
much more can we simplify it?
Agree. I think the one thing which I'll say, and you rightly brought up fleets, and I think it's really, and I mean, potentially coincidental, but really interesting timing as to whether they've released this now as a bit of a, this is how you do it, aimed at fleets. There's also, taking it from Instagram, who obviously took Reels from TikTok, so there could be a bit of a sort of rivalry emerging there. But I think it's just, I don't think fleets work because it's not an inherently visual platform, which is why I have a bit more faith in the TikTok equivalent, because it is, with inherently lends itself to sort of images and video and stuff like that, in that visual nature. So that's why I do have a little bit more faith in this.
Yeah.
But that timing is interesting. You brought it up with fleets that obviously they went just a couple of weeks ago. We lost them, I think, last week officially. That is interesting. And LinkedIn have also brought in stories as well, and that is a very interesting move, because that is not a social which I thought we'd see integrate that into their platform, but they have as well. And we're sort of seeing these stories. LinkedIn is a very interesting one, but they're starting to become very widely put across the board. And I think, given how well they work on Instagram alongside Reels, I don't know. As I said, I do back this one. I think I'm not necessarily saying it's groundbreaking or completely revolutionise TikTok, but I have faith in it to work well enough so that they'll stick around.
And how do you expect it to benefit businesses?
Well, that's an interesting thing, is that I think stories generally, when you look at brands and businesses, are an underused element of Instagram. And for those that have Snapchat, I think Instagram especially, you see brands obviously post normal photos and videos as you would on Instagram, but stories aren't widely as used amongst brand and businesses. So it'll be interesting to see whether that continues, or because brands have a bit more fun on TikTok. That's one thing I do really like it for, is that they convey a bit more of a personality. And so it'll be interesting to see whether that transfers across to the TikTok stories as well. But we've had no official word on when they'll go public. As I said, that testing period is currently in action amongst select non-US users. They'll then feed back to TikTok, who will then decide whether they want to go live with it or not. So nothing's too official yet, but seems like this is something that we can expect pretty soon, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So guys, what are your thoughts on TikTok stories? Are you looking forward to them? Let us know in the comments or tweet us at Uniform Brand, and we'd love to have that conversation. So guys, obviously we're big sports fans here at Uniform. We loved the Euros, gave that a lot of coverage on the socials, so it's only right that we come back to discuss the Olympics. Tokyo 2020, not 2021. I don't want to avoid that mistake. Did we enjoy the Olympics, guys? How much of it did we watch? What did you think of the competition as a whole?
I watched probably more of this Olympics than any other, but at the same
agree.
time, I didn't see half as much as I'd have liked. And I think it's down to the timing
Yeah.
of it all. It was on at weird times.
You're always watching highlights and recaps
Yeah,
and stuff,
the-
aren't
the
you? Never see
breakfast
much
thing was
live.
good.
So yeah,
Because
agreed.
the BBC only had the television rights to show 2 live events at any time. I think the majority of the broadcast over here was available on Discovery Plus and Eurosport. So less accessible than previous years. And I probably watched less than I've ever watched. Obviously, there's different reasons for that. We've been away as well. But yeah, one thing I think we can all agree on, though, is even though we've probably watched, I've definitely watched anyway, less Olympics than ever before, I've seen it on my social feeds constantly.
Yeah, and that is obviously what we're here to discuss. It's been an probably the best ever Olympics for social. And I know that sort of seems a given that naturally at each Olympics, given how social evolves and expands, will get better over time. But I think it deserves huge credit because this is the first Olympics that we've seen where Tokyo have really opened up the athletes' village to athletes on their social medias. And this has lent itself particularly well to TikTok. And there's behind the scenes coverage, I suppose you'd call it, that we've seen from athletes that have been around the athlete village, posting sort of a day in the life of vlogs, little stuff. We saw it a lot when they first arrived at the Olympics about the beds. There was this sort of big thing, whether they were made of cardboard or not, and we saw a few athletes dispelling those rumours or a few confirming them as well. So I never actually really sure what ended up happening there, but it's been great. Olympics Talk, as it's been called, has been a world first, really. Australian diver Sam Fricker, and there's been a few names that have blown up. Sam Fricker is probably the biggest. He's a 19-year-old diver from Australia. He's been posting up to 10 TikToks a day.
Wow.
So he's been going hard on the TikToks. I mean, there has been a slight caveat. Athletes can't post everything and anything. They're not allowed to post anything overtly political, which, you know, is sort of pretty consistent nowadays. And they can't post anything live from the events or stadiums in fear of infringing those broadcast rights, which you were talking about. But you're right, the Olympics have just been everywhere. And that's been great. When you were talking about the timings, Ryan, when they've been happening, you know, the events are going live at some of them about 3 a.m. And as much as I love the Olympics, I don't think I'm going to be doing that. It's been great that we've seen so much on social media.
Yeah, it's been a better place to see all the behind scenes coverage, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, never before have Olympians, you know, a name that means like God or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think that is the Greek. I can't remember, but it's something of that. Yeah.
Well, never have they been more relatable through social media. You know, just prattling around and in their little hotels and
Prattling around, that's a way to put it. I mean, I've seen tons on TikTok of like Tom Daly videos, like really lovely montages about like him dedicating his performances to his father who passed away. And
Were you impressed with his knitting?
yeah.
I've seen the knitting and I'm very impressed. He's done a good job with that. That was really cool. That was really cool. And like you said, there's just been some really nice content from the athletes. Because if you remember at the beginning of the Olympics, the rumor had come out about the sex-proof bed or something.
Yeah.
That athletes, the beds were made out of cardboard, which they actually are made out of cardboard, and that if you do any sudden movements, the bed would collapse. So basically, to stop people from having sex. And thankfully, we had a bunch of Olympians upload videos to TikTok of them doing jumps on the bed and backflips on the bed, and it survived that. So I'd imagine it would survive some sexual intercourse as well.
Well, you'd hope.
Well, they were able to dispel the myth, weren't they? This fake news through social.
Yeah, that is. I want to touch on a point that you actually mentioned earlier, Ryan, about that superhuman tag, which is obviously put on Olympians a lot of the time. And I think we've seen a few Olympians, namely Simone Biles is probably the most high-profile case of sort of show there's a bit more human side, a relatable side, as you said, to these Olympians. And so it's not just TikTok. I mean, Biles took to Twitter to sort of assess or react to the rumours that she wasn't going to compete in certain gymnastics events.
Was it what's his name?
That Olympian.
Piers Morgan,
Yes.
who completely slated her on social.
I mean, he just slates everyone.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's a
true.
given that it was going to
Yeah,
be, I
of
suppose.
course.
But she received a really nice sort of wave of support on Twitter, which was nice to see. So it's not just TikTok that's had a very good Olympics. We've seen stuff like that. I mean, Adam Peaty, I don't know if you saw his TikTok,
Yes.
as soon as he won gold, was straight in the locker room with his medal. So we've seen a load of great content out, and it's nice to see that superhuman tag slightly removed a little bit. Athletes, as you said, goofing around, having a good time, so that they're not just these sort of robots that go to the Olympics and perform at top level and then go home. That there is a person behind, and I think that's been a really nice element, especially as we've seen. I think it's gone hand in hand with a lot of really nice narratives that we've seen, you know, especially come out of some of the young athletes. Like we were talking the other day, Ryan, about the skateboarder from GB.
Yeah, Sky.
Yeah.
I don't remember her surname.
And she's a big presence on social media as well. So it's lent itself hand in hand to some of the stuff that we've seen then follow through into events as well. So, I mean, I don't have a bad word to say about this Olympics on social. I loved as well, and this is something I want to talk about, the expert engine, which is something I actually ran from the Uniform socials, which is where to help people who, because we've never seen this many events at Olympics before, help people who aren't as clued up, you could tweet #ExpertEngine to the official Olympics account with the hashtag of a sport that you were looking to learn about. And then you send you back a 1 or 2 minute video explaining the sport with a little cute caption about a little fact or something like that. I thought that was a really
great.
cool move.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's inclusive, and it makes the conversation much better as well. You know, those kind of campaigns from organizations, you know, like the Olympics have done there, they're really good. They're really good. And like you say, across the board, not just TikTok, they've done a great job. They really have.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I mean, Rye, did you was there any particular piece of Olympics content that you enjoyed the most out on social? Anything stand out for you? Any Olympians that I know we had a lot of love for Sky, didn't we? That 13-year-old skateboarder from GB.
Yeah, it was just like seeing how they responded with the medals and stuff, because you kind of like want to know like what happens from there. You know what I mean? What how high is that cloud 9 for them? Like,
Agreed.
So you get to like the moment with Tom Daly, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like after he'd won that gold in the duels diving.
Yeah.
That was good watch.
In his little pouch as well, that little knitted GB pouch.
I like the fact that he's got that like little knitting hobby going on there.
I think what's smart as well is that this Olympics is shrouded in controversy, and almost this content and this really great access to the athletes, and then this, you know, the connection that they've made with the audience has almost covered it up, you could say, a little bit. So kind of a PR win really for the IOC.
Yeah, 100%. I think deserves big credit, because you're right, there has been a lot of controversy, not only surrounding the Olympics itself, but then you've got like the Russian Olympic Committee, which competes, so you've got stuff going on within the athletes as well. And I think they did a really good job of turning that tide, making it a really fun event for everyone, especially on social media, which, you know, is the global. There's probably no better example of a global sporting event than the Olympics. So yeah, I think they smashed it, guys. I really do.
Yeah, it's a real shame that there weren't crowds, because they genuinely add to the atmosphere, and the families that are there to support the athletes, you know, they make a big difference to an individual's performance.
100%.
Yeah.
So the fact that they've all been given permission to go on social,
Yeah.
you know, that must have been a boost for some of them.
100%. Just have that connection with back home.
But it's also, you know, a bit of a benefit to these athletes as well, using the Olympics as a platform to further their social following. So for those of them who don't win medals, but they can still take advantage of that platform to grow their following. And
Yeah, because let's not forget, predominantly the Olympic is filled with amateur sports. So obviously that's not the case for everything, but for some of these athletes who maybe they don't win gold, they may get a silver or bronze, or they might not even get a medal, it's still an important opportunity for them to launch their professional careers.
Yep.
So
coming away with a massive following.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, really cool. Guys, we absolutely loved the Olympics here at Uniform, even though we didn't catch as much of it as we might have liked. If you had any particular standout moments that you saw on social, let us know in the comments, or as I said, tweet us at Uniform Brand, and we'd give you some of ours. So guys, last dive into the social jar for this week, and it's a topic which I'm actually surprised that we haven't covered yet, because it's Twitter Blue, which feels like, you know, we're all big Twitter users, feels like something that's been, you know, around for a while. This is nothing new, so to speak. We just felt that we needed to give it a bit of airtime because we hadn't got around to it yet. This is obviously Twitter's premium version, their subscription service of the normal Twitter feed. It's going to rumored to cost about $3.50 a month, so about £2.50. So it's by no means a huge setback. But guys, I want you to enter characters for me, just for a moment. I want to take away all of the vast and depth of knowledge that you have on social media. Pretend you're your average Joe, social media going kind of guy, you know, Joe Blogs down the road. Take away all the knowledge that you have. I'm going to reel you off all the features which you're supposed to get with Twitter Blue, and you guys just let me know if you think you'd invest. Okay? So the first one is that it allows users to
Yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah, It allows users to undo. Why?
I don't
Why?
know. I felt like it was the right
Are
thing
you that
to do.
excited? Is that what it is, mate?
Yeah, I felt it was the right thing to do. Like, you take my money right now. I'm in.
But it's how exciting! I'll give you that. So allow you to undo, not delete a tweet. Preface that, not delete. So
Undo.
So it's when it's posting. You know, like when you see it and it sort of goes a little bit grey and you see the bar go across, and that's when you've clicked post and you're just waiting it to pop up on the feed. You can click undo and it will revert back. So you don't have to wait for it to post to be able to delete it. You can just undo it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
basically, if you've noticed a typo immediately, you can change that.
You can change it.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't give you the much wanted edit function. Two different things. So it's not like when you post it, you can go back and edit a typo like you can on Facebook or on Instagram. You have to undo it as you're posting it. So there is a little caveat in that. You also get to, and this, guys, this is so exciting. You're not going to believe this. You get to categorize your bookmark tweets into folders. I mean, hasn't everyone been wanting that for so long?
Oh,
The amount of times I've looked at my reels and reels of bookmark tweets, like, if only I could put these in folders.
yeah. I think it would really just make the whole experience a ton more enjoyable.
100%.
But I say that, but it's actually a decent feature, especially for somebody in our industry. It's
100%.
quite good. Yeah.
100%. And then the last one, there may be more. We just haven't had official words on these yet. The last one is reader mode, which is a slightly more stylized feed. It's like the way when you scroll through a thread of tweets that are separate tweets, not like a thread of a conversation, just separate tweets. It stylizes it slightly more for a scrolling experience. It's not a vast difference, but it is a little bit more easy on the eye, visually and aesthetically more pleasing. Paying ads will still be shown to users that have Twitter Blue. There was a little bit of debate as to whether if you subscribe to Twitter Blue, you wouldn't have to see ads, but Twitter have confirmed that you will still do. That's all we know so far. If that is all that is included in Twitter's subscription service, is that enough, do you think, to make people subscribe?
How long has the undo feature been rumored to be? Like, how long do I have to press undo?
I think it's just in the time that it's posting.
That's really like what, a second?
It's not a long period of time, but as I understand it, I mean, as I said, it's all sort of rumors and screenshots and leaked info. So there's nothing. It is only in very select groups of testing at the moment, so we don't know too much. But as we understand it, that's what it's the undo button is for. It's separate to the delete function, so it's only whilst you're posting it.
Okay.
Because then you might as well just delete it.
I mean, removing myself completely from this as a social manager doesn't sound like the best offering, does it?
Oh, that's my fear. I think that edit function seems to be a gimme. That's what people would make the difference. Don't you agree? That ability to, because we've all done it, haven't we? We've all just on our personal accounts just posted a tweet. You've made a typo and you think, oh God, I've got to copy and paste.
There's smart ways that they can do it. Like, I think what they're worried about is if you post a tweet, which is like, retweet this if you love, chicken nuggets. And then obviously you change that to something more,
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And obviously you've already retweeted it because you love chicken nuggets. You might look like a bit of an idiot. But I mean, I guess one of the things they could do is they could limit the amount of characters you could change in an edit so that you can't completely change the structure of what you've posted. You'd think that Twitter is smart enough to figure that one out. The undo feature, if it is, as you're saying, just the amount of time that it takes to post kind of defeats the point. It would be nice if they had a window there, maybe a 5-10 second window that you can hit undo. Because otherwise, if you've only got literally a second or two, you've got to be quick on the ball with that.
Yeah, it feels like, I mean, as I said, it's only in testing, so maybe we will see a function like that because it's listed on app stores now. And so if you go on Twitter or Google, on the Apple or Google stores, you can see it listed as a in-app paid function to subscribe to Twitter Blue. So we know it's coming. It's a matter of when, if not if. Right? What do you think? I mean, bookmark tweets into folders, reader mode, and that undo feature. Are you coughing up 2 hard-earned pounds, maybe 3?
So that's what it is. It's like £2.
Yeah, you can finally categorize all your memes.
I just think
All those Pepperidge Farm memes that you've been harvesting. Oh, someone's on the ball.
He did
Someone's
it.
on the ball.
Yeah, it's gone so downhill.
What do you think, mate?
It's not worth it unless
I
like
don't think so.
you
I don't
really
think so.
need to like or be more organized with your social posts. Like, but why would you need that function anyway? Unless you need to dig old tweets out and stuff.
Unless they're aiming this specifically at people like us, people in the social media industry. I feel like
It
that
does
book-
seem
yeah.
like it's aimed towards professionals as opposed to
I'd
like
agree.
the average user, which is silly because the average user base is a much larger percentage than professionals using Twitter. So I don't quite get it.
And then there's the thing is that, we manage a large number of accounts. I'm guessing you will have to buy it for each and every account. So that if you manage 5 or 6 different, that's going to add up, isn't it? You're paying £15, £20 a month there for being able to categorize your bookmark tweaks into folders. So, I mean, it feels like, and this is why I want to discuss it, guys, because I feel like this is a really exciting thing, and Twitter could have really done some great things with this. And I know I don't want to jump the gun and say that they've missed the mark because it's still in testing. There still could be new features coming out. I'm a bit disappointed.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's
a fair assessment, I think.
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, agreed.
This could just be what do they call it? Beta. It's still like a primitive form of what it could be.
yeah.
But I do think the readability function should be available anyway. Like, I imagine there's quite a few people who probably find the feed overwhelming, or perhaps they have like visual impairments.
Yeah.
And that high contrast readability format would really be beneficial. So I do think that function you shouldn't have to pay for.
Yeah, it's also good as well. I mean, I'd like to assume this is what you get in a read-only mode, but when you're scrolling and you accidentally like something, that's
Yeah.
one of the annoying features of the normal Twitter app. So, like, if a read-only, you can't interact with anything. That's quite good.
Yeah, the reader. I mean, it's something that you guys should go and check out if you're listening, because it's a little bit hard to describe. It's pretty widely available now. You can see people who are in that testing process. They've put it online for people to see. So go and check that out. It is pretty cool. It looks good. It is more stylized, as you said. It feels like you would have a better scrolling experience, which is obviously what dominates the Twitter UX. So there are goods. There are some not so goods inherently with this process. But yeah, I just wanted to pitch it to you guys because it feels like, obviously Twitter will be listening, I'm sure. I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't listen to the social jar. So do better is the mood, I think, from the social team here, because bit underwhelming.
Definitely. But, I mean, they are working on some other cool things that are free, like allowing you to have a co-host now on Twitter Spaces. They are working really hard on Twitter Spaces and doing some really great things with it. They killed Fleets off, which obviously, made sense because it sucked. So I don't want to give Twitter much stick because you know what? Fair enough. Actually, I'm going to give you stick because like you're charging £3 for this. Like, you're giving us better features for free. Like, come on. I don't know where that came from,
Someone
but
call this man down.
call him down.
Yeah.
You got to stick up for the little man and woman.
100%,
You know.
100%. So yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts, obviously, on that one. But guys, that rounds off episode 5 of the Social Jar. And just before we round off, we've got to hand Andreas some credit because you had your second vaccine yesterday and you're fighting at the moment, aren't you, mate?
This has been very difficult. I don't know why. I'm the only one in the entire team that's had like an adverse reaction to the vaccinations. So yes, I'm fighting currently. So as soon as this is over, I'm going to rest my head on this table. And
You're the only one who had Moderna, though, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
Avoid Moderna.
We'll wake him up next week, ready to go again for another Social Jar. mate.
I know. But it's good to be back, as
No,
we said,
100%,
a
100%.
couple of weeks away. So, Social Jar back in your life, episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Are you going to do something on the thumbnail like that with The Empire Strikes Back?
Got to. How could we not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
could
we
we
got
not?
some fun there.
Yeah.
And we'll,
Oh, and RIP to the plant.
Ryan
Forgot to water it.
we still have it.
It's
doesn't
here.
look
It looks fine. It's fine. It's green. It's just a little limb.
And we also forgot to change the photo frame as well. So
I
but whilst we waved goodbye to Fleets, we're saying hello and welcome back to the Social Jar.
voila.
Whee!
We'll see you next week, guys. Have a good one.